the start. It's where ideas become action, where plans become work, where business comes to life. A successful business doesn't just happen. It's built on drive, on persistence, and on dreaming bigger. If you build on a strong technology foundation, there's no limit to what you can do. Bigger things start here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Raymond Janse van Rensburg, SE Director for Cisco Australia New Zealand.
Thank you, and a very warm welcome to Cisco Live in Melbourne. It's nice to be here, sunny day, and this is the very first session that we run as part of our Innovation Talk program. Over the next couple of days, we're going to entertain you, and tomorrow we will have our ANZ-based Chief Technology Officer, Kevin Block, talking about the top 10 trends for 2018. But for today, we're going to focus on messaging that's specifically around our small and medium business community. This is essentially a bookend for our SMB program at Cisco Live, and we'll focus on how technology would enable and drive business opportunity within the SMB space. Small and medium businesses face a future that is increasingly competitive. If we look at the expansion of broadband network coverage, the adoption and proliferation of mobile devices, as well as the expansion of logistics services and networks, we see a significant change and a breakdown in barriers from a geographical perspective. Gone are the days where a local competitor or local rival was my biggest focus as an SMB player. That's changed, and because of that demise of the geographical barrier, we now see competitors and rivals that come from different parts of the country, but also different parts of the world. And they use technology to differentiate, they use technology to gain a competitive advantage within that environment. A recent survey that was commissioned by Cisco and delivered by IDC looked at just over 900 small and business SMB-type respondents. And within that environment, they found that growing cost of doing business is a key concern for that SMB cohort that responded to the survey. Apart from that, they also looked at the business priorities. And the three key business priorities that was listed by the respondents to that research was around reducing cost, gaining operational efficiency, and improving productivity. Essentially, protecting their margins by doing more with less, and by doing so, also ensuring that they can maintain a competitive advantage or differentiation through quality improvements by using product and services. Now, if we look at those and you just take it in isolation, you would think that it's pretty easy to try and work out a couple of business initiatives to address those business priorities. But in actual fact, if we start looking at that specific SMB environment, we quickly realize that they get battered and bruised, attacked by competitors from all different sides. There's operational challenges within the environment. There's escalating cost of operations. And all of those make it pretty difficult for them to compete. To make it even worse, there's new business models. If we look at a renting or sharing economy, it's introducing new competitors and basically forcing these SMBs to constantly keep up with customer demand or customer need, but also consumption behavior. The IDC research continued and looked at IT priorities for the SMB. And within the IT priorities, they saw a strong linkage back to the business priorities. And some of the key themes that were called out were around cost saving, improved decision making, as well as improving IT skill set and productivity. But also top of mind for them was IT security, or securing my business. So if we look at the IDC research that was done and use that as a backdrop, then the question is, what can we do? How can we support the SMB community by using technology as a foundation to enable some of their business practices? And that essentially leads to three key themes. The very first one is around, for an SMB, digital has got to be an expectation. Moving on from that is a focus on mobilizing the workforce for success. And then finally, IT challenges that need to be smart and simple within that environment. So let's unpack each one of those in a little bit more detail. Essentially, what we're saying is digital has to be an expectation, not an aspiration. It's not a matter of if we need to digitize in the environment, or when we need to digitize, but more, not if, but when. And that is all critical within that conversation. So what do we mean by digitization? If we define it, what does it actually mean? And essentially what we're doing is we're looking at the physical world and we're translating that into the digital world. And the reason why we do it is so that we can use the power of computing and software to automate some of the processes within that environment, but at the same time also drive intelligence and some analytics so that we can make informed decisions within that business environment. What are the key benefits to that SMB environment if we drive digitization? Predominantly around increasing profits, but there's also a lot of other benefits that we can realize. Very first one is around enhancing customer experience. Customer experience and expectation is constantly evolving. They want data at the fingertips. They want faster response times. They want a personalized experience from an engagement. And by digitizing the processes, we provide the ability to deliver on that enhanced customer experience. Secondly, as a small, medium business, I need to focus on retaining some of my top talent and top employees. If we look at the employee focus within the organization, there's a high likelihood that they would see the value of the innovation that can be derived through a digitized engagement within that environment. And then it moves on to agility. Typically, if we look at the tradition, a small business is much quicker to adapt to changes within the market. But if it's paper-based or not automated, it still slows the process down. So providing a digitized experience gives the ability for that business to be more agile and respond much quicker to some of the demands within the environment. Moving on to mobilizing the workforce. What does it actually mean if we talk about a mobile workforce? And there's a couple of examples that we can use, and not one of them are really alike, but we can, for example, say if we've got 50 employees working across a number of states or territories, servicing the organization, they would like to work from wherever they are. They would like to work whenever they want to, and they want to use tools to ensure that they can engage, that they can collaborate, and that they can share with their peers. And that is essentially what we intend to drive by mobilizing the workforce. There's a lot of drivers. The whole concept is not new. If we look at the IDC research, more than 50% of the respondents indicated that they want a more flexible working environment. And then IT challenges need to be smart and simple. If we look at a small business, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not complex. There's a lot of complexity that's derived from different business systems and applications and legacy infrastructure that might be in place. There's also a difference from a manpower perspective. Traditionally, in a bigger organization, we can share the IT responsibilities across the whole team. If we look at enabling skills and capability, we don't have a single point of failure or a single point of presence that we need to focus on. If we step into the SMB environment, the team size reduces significantly, and the capability that we can bring to bear is sometimes restricted because of that as well. Can we roll the video, please?
Our big ambition for Access is to continue to serve our current and existing clients as best as we can. To do that, we need to make sure that we have a cohesive IT infrastructure to support that. With what we've implemented with Cisco throughout our business has now been able to give us that peace of mind that our IT is in safe hands. To actually free up our project managers to direct and manage our plumbers to get the job done. The exciting thing about the Cisco start for a business our size is to have the opportunity to be able to have an enterprise level of security and support is extraordinary, and it's made a real difference within our business.
So small and medium-sized businesses typically have got a very limited amount of resources that they can invest in new technology. With every IT investment made, they need to consider how can they get the best long-term return or long-term value from that engagement. Now, the responsibility for that investment typically falls squarely on the IT manager within that environment, and it makes it pretty difficult because they've got to navigate through a whole host of different options that's on the market at that given point in time. Apart from just product selection and looking at the capabilities that we can derive, we've also got to embed that and deploy it within the organization. Now, the good news, if we look at the Cisco Start portfolio, is we've got an ability to provide a complete range of capability to the IT manager within the small, medium business community. If we look at the different areas within the offering that we've got, we can touch on security as an option, and that's addressing the growing volume and sophistication of some of the security threats that we do see across the industry at this point in time. Data breaches and ransomware attacks directly affect the bottom line and can lead to significant loss in revenue. Almost a third of organizations that's been breached have reported loss of revenue associated with that breach. Now, in this session, we wouldn't have time to delve into all the detail around security, but on Thursday, Brett Hardman will cover a full session within the Innovation Talk Theatre focused on the security topic, so I would encourage you to attend that. If we change gears and focus on Connect, the growth of connected devices, IoT and cloud applications is putting added pressure on the SMB environment. Having a fast, reliable and flexible network will enable us to better respond to some of the challenges that we face in that environment. Now, tomorrow, Wednesday, we've got Scott Harrell talking about the network reinvented, and he'll give you a good insight into the network intuitive, intent-based networking, assurance, and a number of other topics during that session. Collaboration technology has become an absolute necessity in the modern small and medium-sized business. Today's digital business environment calls for integrated communication tools that enable a seamless collaboration experience. Tomorrow afternoon, we've got Jason Guke that'll cover a session on collaboration and provide more info on Inspire Teams. Compute, Doesn't matter if we've got single server within that small medium business environment, or if we need to provide compute capability in every single branch. There's an opportunity for us to spend more time on that, and that'll be covered in a session on Thursday, where we will delve into the intent-based data center. And then finally, on the cloud side, imagine having a richer visibility and real-time management of your IT assets across the entire network. There's a Meraki session that's taking place tomorrow, and Todd Nightingale will talk about some of the capabilities that we can bring to bear within that environment. That's a very high level, some of the bubbles around what we can deliver through Cisco Start. But what you see on screen is making it real and tangible. That's the portfolio if we look at it in the real world. At the top, we've got our security first offerings covering everything from the next generation firewall to Cisco Umbrella, AMP, or advanced malware protection, as well as Cisco AnyConnect. Moving to the left in the middle is Connect. That's both for wired and wireless connectivity in the campus or the branch. In the middle, we've got collaboration focusing on Cisco Spark, as well as some of the capabilities that we bring through call control, as well as some video endpoints in the mix as well. And on the right is compute from a data center perspective. At the bottom is the representation of our cloud-managed offering, both from a Connect and a security-first perspective. And all of this is on show in the world of solutions. So if you take some time out later on today, tomorrow or Thursday, you can go and visit the team on the Cisco Start stand, and they will be able to give you a lot more info on the product portfolio, the capabilities that we can offer, but also provide you with insights into some of the market data as well as tools that you can deploy within your environment. How do you get there? The Cisco demo stand is right at the back in the center, and the Cisco Start stand is at the back towards the left of center. Now, a couple of comments around the world of solutions and the capability that we've got there. This year, for those of you that are new to the event, the way that we represent demonstrations within the environment is not necessarily within a technology domain focus, but we move to show the capabilities in a particular environment. So look at a customer use case, office environment, maybe the home, a retail store, transportation, or anything like that. And within each one of those physical environments, we will look at how do we provide security, what is being done from a connectivity perspective, how does collaboration fit into that environment, and also how can we use back-end services through the data center or network operations environment as well. So I think important to note, it's not just the focus on the Cisco Start stand, but the ability to move around and see the capability that we present throughout the environment. I think in summary, it's a bit of an introduction session on what we've got to offer from an SMB perspective, some of the capabilities that we can bring to bear, but also an introduction to Cisco Live for our SMB cohort that's attending the event. There's a lot of activity over the next 2 or 3 days for you. A lot of it will be available within this room in the form of our innovation talks. We do have other capabilities in the walk-in self-paced labs, as well as in the DevNet community as well. If you're more technically inclined, you can pop in there, sit down and do a scripted lab, and that will give you the opportunity to experience firsthand what is possible from a technology perspective. You don't have to be a tech whiz to do that. They give you full instructions. So if you can master a keyboard, you should be able to do what is required. So pop in there, attend some of the walk-in self-paced lab sessions, and we cover the whole portfolio there, all the way from Meraki through to some of our certification sessions for CCIE or CCDE. And then directly next to that, we've got the DevNet zone, and that's focusing on using APIs and programmability to drive automation within your environment. And if we talk about digitization, if we talk about the fact that we want to reduce cost and drive operational efficiency within the organization, then it's time for you to explore some of that capability as well. You don't necessarily have to deliver it yourself. We've got a lot of integrators that's got practice in delivering some of those capabilities. Thank you for your time. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. As said earlier, please wander over to the Cisco Start stand and they'll provide more information. Thank you.